Ladies, you ever notice how sometimes the loudest thing in the room isn't the words being spoken, but the silence somebody leaves behind? That's the kind of silence that makes people pay attention. That makes people feel your presence, even when you're not saying a word. In relationships, silence is not weakness, it's strength, it's control, it's power. But the problem is, so many women get caught up in this idea that they need to constantly explain themselves, constantly prove themselves, constantly make sure the man knows what they're doing, what they're thinking, and why they're acting a certain way. And let me tell you something. When you're over-explaining, when you're over-talking, you are draining the mystery out of the relationship. You're giving him every answer before he even asks the question. And when you do that, there's no room left for him to miss you, to think about you, to wonder what you're about. See, men don't miss what's always right in front of them. They miss what they can't fully figure out. And if you're always explaining, always talking, always making sure he knows every detail of your life, he doesn't have the space to sit and wonder about you. That wondering is what creates missing. That curiosity is what makes a man say, "Man, what is she doing right now? Why hasn't she hit me back yet? Why isn't she calling?" When you give him that silence, when you stop over-explaining, that's when he starts to miss you. Now let's be clear. I'm not talking about playing childish games. I'm not talking about ignoring a man just to get attention. I'm talking about knowing your worth to the point where you don't feel the need to defend or justify your every move. Because when a woman respects herself enough to let her silence speak, that man learns to respect it too. He learns that he doesn't get to know every single thing unless she wants him to. And that kind of discipline, that kind of control makes him crave her even more. A lot of women out here feel like if they don't explain everything, if they don't constantly reassure a man, he might lose interest. But let me tell you something, it's the opposite. When you give a man everything, when you lay it all out, when you make sure he never has a single question about you, you make yourself too predictable. And predictable doesn't get missed. Predictable doesn't get craved. Predictable doesn't make a man sit up at night thinking about you. It's the unknown, it's the silence, it's that gap in information that drives him crazy. Think about it like this. If you text him, "Good morning," every single day, if you tell him where you're going every single night, if you explain why you didn't answer the phone within 5 minutes, guess what? You've already erased the chance for him to wonder about you. He doesn't have to think. He doesn't have to miss. But let that phone stay silent for a while. Let him look at that screen and not see your name pop up. Let him realize he doesn't know exactly where you are or what you're doing. That silence will speak louder than any explanation ever could. Men miss women when women create distance. Men value women when women don't hand themselves over like an open book. And silence is a form of distance. Silence is saying, "I don't owe you every piece of me right now. You'll get what I give when I choose to give it." And let me tell you, when a man feels that, when he feels you're not always right there, he starts to think about you. He starts to chase. He starts to miss you like crazy because that silence is pressing on his mind, forcing him to fill in the blanks. The problem is, a lot of women mistake silence for weakness. They think if they don't explain, he's going to think she doesn't care. But here's the truth. If a man really wants you, silence won't push him away. It'll pull him closer. Because men are hunters. Men like to chase. Men like to figure things out. And if you hand him the answer key every single time, what's left for him to chase? What's left for him to figure out? That silence, that not knowing, that's the bait. That's what makes him realize how much he misses you. Let me break it down. Imagine you're watching a movie. If in the first 5 minutes the narrator tells you exactly how it's going to end, are you still excited? Are you still leaning in, paying attention, eager for the next scene? No. You're bored because there's no mystery. That's what happens in relationships when you over-explain. You're spoiling the ending before he even gets a chance to invest in the story. But when you hold back, when you leave some space, when you let silence do the talking, you're keeping him on edge, keeping him engaged, making him wonder what's coming next. That's when he's hooked. That's when he misses you. Now don't get me wrong, communication is important. A healthy relationship needs clarity, honesty, openness. But there's a difference between being honest and being overexposed. Honesty says, "This is how I feel." Overexposure says, here's every detail of why I feel it, when I felt it, what I was wearing when I felt it, and what I plan to feel tomorrow. That's too much. That doesn't leave room for him to breathe, to imagine, to think. And in that space of imagination is where missing happens. Ladies, hear me on this. When you explain less, you give him more to think about. When you talk less, your words carry more weight. When you choose silence instead of reaction, that silence echoes in his mind. He'll replay that silence over and over, trying to figure you out, trying to understand where you stand. And in that replay, in that wondering, he's missing you. You ever notice how when someone doesn't text back, you start overthinking? You check your phone, you look at the time, you start creating stories in your head about why they didn't respond. That's the power of silence. It makes people imagine. It makes people chase answers. And when you stop over-explaining yourself to a man, you give him that same feeling. He starts thinking, why didn't she answer right away? What's she up to? Did she lose interest? That's when he feels your absence. That's when he misses you. You've got to understand, men don't miss noise. They miss peace. They don't miss constant chatter. They miss the quiet strength of a woman who doesn't have to prove herself. Silence tells a man, I'm good whether you get it or not. Silence tells a man, I don't need to convince you of my value. You'll see it when I'm not around. Silence tells a man, I know who I am, and I don't need to explain it to you every 5 minutes. And let me tell you, that kind of silence is unforgettable. That kind of silence makes a man sit up, makes him remember you when you're not around, makes him miss you like crazy. So stop over-explaining. Stop feeling like you have to fill every pause with words. Stop thinking your value comes from how much you can prove yourself. Your value is in what you don't say. Your value is in what you hold back. Your value is in that silence that lingers long after the conversation ends. Because at the end of the day, silence is not emptiness, it's presence. And if you master it, silence will make him miss you more than any words ever could. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is thinking that being constantly available is the same as showing love. It's not. See, when you're always there, when you're always picking up on the first ring, when you're always dropping your plans the second he calls, you're not teaching him to value your presence. You're teaching him to take it for granted. And let me tell you something, people don't miss what they can get anytime they want. They miss what they have to work for. They miss what they don't always have easy access to. They miss what feels rare. That's why giving a man space to chase you is one of the most powerful moves you can make if you want him to miss you like crazy. Men are wired to chase. It's not about playing games. It's about human nature. A man doesn't appreciate what's handed to him on a silver platter nearly as much as he appreciates what he had to stretch for, what he had to put in effort to earn. Think about it like this. When you save up your money, work hard, and buy yourself something expensive, you treat it differently than if somebody just gave it to you for free. You protect it, you value it, you take care of it, because you remember what it cost you. It's the same in relationships. If you don't let a man put in some effort, if you don't create space for him to chase you, he won't understand your value. He won't feel what it means to really miss you. A lot of women confuse giving space with being distant, but they're not the same. Being distant means you're emotionally shut down. Giving space means you're confident enough to let him breathe, let him wonder, let him do the chasing instead of you doing all the running. See, too many women flip the roles. They think if they call enough, text enough, show up enough, they'll keep his attention. But what really happens is he gets comfortable. He knows you're not going anywhere, so he doesn't feel the need to move. And a man who doesn't feel the need to move doesn't chase. A man who doesn't chase doesn't miss. Now, giving him space doesn't mean disappearing. It doesn't mean ignoring him or pretending you don't care. It means you maintain your own life. You stay busy. You keep building your goals. You keep your friends, your hobbies, your career, your passions at the center of your world. You don't rearrange everything just to revolve around him. Because when a man sees that, when he sees you've got your own rhythm, your own priorities, your own energy, he realizes he has to chase you to be part of that world. He realizes you're not just waiting around, hoping for him to validate you. And that right there is what makes him miss you. I always tell women this. If you don't give him a chance to feel your absence, how will he ever know what it's like to miss you? If you're there 24/7, answering before the phone even finishes ringing, showing up before he even has to ask, he will never feel that gap. And that gap is what creates missing. That gap is what makes him say, man, I need her. I can't stop thinking about her. I don't know what she's doing right now, but I wish I was there. That doesn't happen when you're glued to his side. That only happens when you step back and give him the space to come forward. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine two people dancing. If one person is always stepping forward, crowding the other, never letting them move, the dance falls apart. It's off balance. But when one steps back, gives the other person room, suddenly there's rhythm, there's chemistry. That's how relationships work. You have to give him room to move towards you. And when he moves toward you out of his own choice, out of his own desire, that's when he values you. That's when he misses you when you're not there. The problem with always being available is that it tricks you into thinking you're strengthening the connection when in reality you're weakening it. Because love doesn't grow in suffocation, it grows in space. People need room to feel. People need room to long for someone. People need room to realize, man, life doesn't feel the same without her. And when you give a man that room, you're letting him experience what your absence feels like. And trust me, if he cares, that absence is going to hit him hard. Sometimes women ask me, Steve, but what if he forgets about me if I give him too much space? Let me answer that. If he can forget about you just because you didn't pick up the phone one night, or because you were busy living your life for a few days, then he was never really invested in you in the first place. The right man, the man who values you, he's not going to forget you. He's going to miss you. He's going to think about you. He's going to wonder what you're doing, who you're with, how you're spending your time. And that wondering is going to pull him right back to you. That's what space does. It separates the ones who are just hanging around from the ones who truly want you. And here's the part most people don't realize. When you give him space to chase you, you're also giving yourself space to evaluate him. See, a man's actions during that space will tell you everything you need to know. Does he step forward? Does he pursue? Does he miss you enough to come after you? Or does he fade away when you stop doing all the chasing? That space reveals his true intentions. That space tells you whether you're dealing with a man who's serious or just a man who's comfortable with convenience. There's power in letting someone miss you. There's power in creating that gap. That's how bonds deepen. Think about people you love, family, friends. When you don't see them for a while, you miss them more. When you finally do, the connection feels stronger because that absence made your heart grow fonder. It's the same in romance. Absence creates appreciation. Space creates value. When you're not always available, when you let him chase, he doesn't just miss you. He respects you more. Because respect and longing are tied together. You can't miss what you don't value, and you can't value what you never had to work for. So when you're tempted to answer that late night call, even though you're tired, when you're tempted to cancel your plans just because he suddenly wants to see you, when you're tempted to bend over backward to always make yourself available, I want you to pause. I want you to remind yourself that love is not about convenience. It's about effort. And the only way he's going to show you effort is if you step back and give him the space to come forward. Because if you don't, he'll never chase. If he never chases, he'll never miss you. And if he never misses you, he'll never realize your true value. That's why giving him space is not about punishment. It's not about mind games. It's about balance. It's about creating enough room in the relationship for him to feel your absence, to feel that tug in his chest when you're not around, to feel the desire to close that gap. And when he does, when he moves toward you, not because you begged or explained, but because he wanted to, that's when you'll know. He misses you. He values you. He respects you. Let me tell you something that a lot of people don't want to hear, but it's the truth. When you make a man the center of your world, you stop being the woman he fell for in the first place. See, what attracts a man in the beginning isn't just your looks, isn't just your smile, isn't just how you make him feel. What attracts him is your energy, your independence, your ambition, the fact that you had a life before he ever showed up. That spark is magnetic. That confidence, that drive, that self-focus. That's what makes him look at you and think, man, I need to be part of her world. But the minute you throw all that away and start revolving everything around him, that's when he stops missing you. Because why would he? You're already there, giving him all of you every second of every day. There's no room for him to wonder about you, no room for him to feel your absence, no room for him to miss you. You see, men don't miss women who make themselves too easy to access. They miss women who keep their identity, who keep their goals, who keep their own sense of purpose alive no matter who they're dating. When you're out there grinding, chasing your dreams, building your life, living with passion, he doesn't just see you as his partner. He sees you as a whole person with a life that's bigger than him. And let me tell you, that makes a man respect you. That makes him crave your presence. That makes him miss you when you're not around, because he realizes your world is not something he can take for granted. Too many women sacrifice themselves in the name of love. They stop hanging out with friends. They stop doing the things they enjoy. They let their hobbies, their ambitions, their personal growth take a back seat. And then one day they wake up and wonder why the man doesn't look at them the same way he used to. The answer is simple, because the woman he fell in love with is gone. She disappeared into him. She lost her identity. And you cannot expect someone to miss you when you've made yourself disappear inside their life. Think about it. If you were always at his beck and call, if every time he turned around you were right there waiting, why would he ever have to think about you? Why would he ever sit in silence and feel that pull in his chest, that longing to see you, that urge to pick up the phone just to hear your voice? He wouldn't, because you've erased the space where missing could live. But when you're focused on your life, when you're busy becoming the best version of yourself, when you've got things going on that don't revolve around him, that's when he starts to notice. That's when he starts to realize, man, I haven't seen her in a minute. I wonder how her day went. I miss her energy. There's something incredibly attractive about a woman who doesn't lose herself in a man, because that kind of woman is rare. That kind of woman is strong. That kind of woman reminds a man that she chose him. She didn't need him. And choice is powerful. When a man knows you're with him because you want to be, not because you need to be, he values it more. He respects it more. He misses it more when you're not there. Now let me break it down even deeper. Men admire women who keep moving. When he sees you investing in your career, he admires that hustle. When he sees you taking care of your health, he admires that discipline. When he sees you growing spiritually, emotionally, mentally, he admires that strength. That admiration turns into respect. And that respect is the foundation of longing. Because missing someone isn't just about liking their company. It's about respecting their presence enough to notice when it's gone. And here's the part most people don't understand. When you make your life bigger than him, you actually strengthen the relationship. Because nobody wants to be someone else's everything all the time. That's pressure. That's suffocation. That's a heavy load for anybody to carry. But when you show a man that you've got your own life, your own fire, your own joy, you're taking that pressure off him. You're saying, I don't need you to be my entire world. I've already got one, but I'd love for you to walk beside me in it. That right there makes him want you more. That makes him proud to be with you. That makes him miss you when you're not around. I want you to think about the people in your life you miss the most. It's not the ones who were always sitting around waiting for you. It's the ones who had something going on. It's the ones who were busy living, who made time for you but didn't make you their entire life. Those are the people you look back on and think, man, I miss their energy. I miss how they carried themselves. I miss how they made me feel inspired. That's exactly the same energy you need to bring into your relationship. When you're focused on your life, you also keep your standards high. You're not just measuring your worth by how much attention a man gives you. You're measuring it by how much you're growing, how much you're achieving, how much you're living your purpose. That keeps you from settling. That keeps you from accepting less than you deserve. And a man feels that. He knows he can't play with you. He knows he can't half step, because you're not just sitting around waiting for him to define your value. You've already defined it for yourself. And let me tell you, a man misses that kind of woman because she's not easily replaceable. See, anybody can be needy. Anybody can cling, but not everybody can stand tall on their own 2 feet and say, I love you, but I'm not losing me in the process. That kind of strength sticks with a man. It makes him respect you in your absence, think about you in your silence, and miss you when you're not around. Because he knows you're not just his girl. You're a whole woman with a whole life, and that's something worth missing. So don't give up your passions. Don't abandon your dreams. Don't quiet your voice just to make room for his. Keep your light shining. Keep your goals alive. Keep your identity strong. Because the truth is, the more you focus on your life, the more he's going to want to be part of it. The more he's going to think about you when you're not around. The more he's going to miss you, not just because of what you give him, but because of who you are when you're standing fully in your power. One of the hardest lessons in love, in life, in relationships, is learning how to control your emotions. And I'm not saying you can't feel. Everybody feels. Everybody gets upset. Everybody gets excited. Everybody has those moments where they want to scream, cry, argue, or just pour their whole heart out in one text message. That's human. But the power, the real strength, comes in when you can feel all of that and still decide how you're going to respond. Because the truth is, reacting to everything, letting your emotions run the show, doesn't make a man miss you. It makes him take you for granted. What makes him miss you is when you don't always give him the reaction he expects. When you hold your peace. When you let your silence do the talking. See, men don't chase drama, they chase peace. And a woman who can control her emotions has a kind of peace that's magnetic. Because let's be real, life is already stressful. Work is stressful, bills are stressful, the world is stressful. When a man comes home to a woman who can't control her emotions, who reacts to everything he says, who blows up at every little thing, that's not attractive, it's exhausting. But when he knows that you can handle yourself, that you're not going to let every little thing throw you off, that you don't need to respond to every text, every mood, every comment, that's when he values you. That's when he realizes she's different. She doesn't let me shake her. She doesn't let me control her mood. She's steady. And that steadiness, that's what sticks in his mind when you're not around. That's what makes him miss you. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Your reaction teaches people how to treat you. If every time he pulls away, you panic and chase, you've taught him he can pull away and still have you right there. If every time he doesn't call, you blow up his phone with 10 missed calls, you've taught him that he can disappear and still get your attention. But when you control yourself, when you don't react, when you let that silence sit, you're teaching him a whole different lesson. You're teaching him that you don't move unless it's worth moving. You're teaching him that your peace matters more than any argument. You're teaching him that your value isn't wrapped up in chasing after him. And let me tell you, when you teach a man that, he misses you in a way he didn't even know he could. I know it's hard. It's hard when you feel like he's playing games. It's hard when he doesn't text back fast enough. It's hard when you see him online, but he hasn't answered you yet. The natural reaction is to get upset, to confront him, to send that, "What's going on?" message. But here's what happens when you do that. He doesn't feel your absence. He feels your availability. He knows he doesn't even have to wonder about you because you're always going to show your hand. But if you breathe, if you hold back, if you control that urge to react, now you've put the ball in his court. Now he has to wonder, why hasn't she said anything? Why didn't she respond? Did I push too far? Is she pulling back? That wondering creates missing. That wondering makes him come looking for you. You have to remember, not everything deserves a reaction. Some things deserve silence. Some things deserve patience. Some things deserve you just walking away with your head held high. Because not every battle is worth fighting. And not every man deserves to see you break down your emotions just to prove a point. Your peace is priceless. And when you protect it, when you control your emotions, that man learns real quick that you're not like everybody else. He learns that if he wants access to your emotions, he's got to earn it. He's got to show up, right? He's got to respect you. Otherwise, he's going to be sitting there missing you while you're out here living unbothered. Think about the times in your own life when someone didn't give you the reaction you expected. You probably kept thinking about it, right? You replayed it in your head. You wondered why they didn't respond, why they didn't get upset, why they didn't fight back. That silence, that calmness, it had power. It stuck with you. It lingered. That's the same effect you can have in your relationship when you control your emotions. He expects yelling, but you give him calm. He expects chasing, but you give him space. He expects you to lose control, but you hold it together. That unexpected strength is what makes him miss you long after the moment has passed. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you have to swallow everything you feel. I'm not saying you should never express yourself. What I'm saying is, choose how and choose when. Don't let him push you into reacting on his terms. Express yourself on yours. Speak when you're ready, not when you're triggered. Move when you're calm, not when you're heated. Because the way you carry yourself in those moments is what defines how he sees you. If you let your emotions control you, he'll see you as predictable. But if you control your emotions, he'll see you as powerful. And powerful women get missed. It's about understanding that every reaction is an investment. Every time you blow up, every time you chase, every time you argue over nothing, you're spending energy that doesn't bring you anything back. But when you hold back, when you save that energy, when you protect your peace, you're investing in yourself. And that kind of self-control creates respect. That respect creates value. And value is what makes a man miss you when you're not around. See, the reason silence is so effective is because it creates space. And in that space, a man has to sit with himself. He has to think about what he did. He has to wonder how you feel. He has to imagine what's going on in your head. That's where missing happens. In the imagination, in the not knowing, in the silence. If you give him all your emotions right away, you rob him of that space. You give him the answers before he even asks the question. But when you hold it, when you control it, when you stay calm, he's left with nothing but his thoughts. And trust me, that's when he realizes your worth. That's when he feels your absence. That's when he misses you. You want to know what makes a woman unforgettable? It's not how loud she can argue. It's not how many times she blows up his phone. It's not how dramatic she gets when she's upset. What makes a woman unforgettable is how she carries herself with dignity, how she controls her emotions, how she can walk away from foolishness without losing her peace. That kind of woman sticks in a man's mind. That kind of woman lingers in his heart. That kind of woman makes him miss her, not just because of what she gives, but because of what she refuses to give away, her power. So the next time you feel that fire rising up inside you, the next time you're tempted to react, I want you to pause. I want you to breathe. I want you to remind yourself that not everything deserves your energy. Because the truth is, the strongest statement you can ever make is not in the words you shout, but in the silence you choose. And when you learn to control your emotions, you don't just protect your peace. You create the kind of space that makes a man miss you in ways he didn't even know he could.